Hey, podcast listeners. Tired of ads barging into your favorite news podcast? Good news. With Amazon Music, you have access to the largest catalog of ad-free top podcasts included with your Prime membership. Stay up to date on everything newsworthy by downloading the Amazon Music app for free or go to amazon.com/ad-free news. That's amazon.com/ad-free news to catch up on the latest episodes without the ads.
Visit Avery.com, AVARY, for the most up-to-date news and information on Team Avery.
Avery, 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 Avery.
The Video Archives podcast with Quentin Tarantino and Roger Avery is back for season 2. Head on over to patreon.com/videoarchives to get ad-free exclusive content and bonus episodes. This is The Gala Show. I'm your reporter on the beat, Gala Avery. On this episode, you may know my guest as an actor who has played your favorite characters in movies like Boiler Room and The Gift, or perhaps you'll recognize his voice as the narrator of The Virgin Suicides. Or maybe you've seen Strange Darling and were captured by the cinematography shot entirely on Kodak 500T, 250D, 50D, and 35mm. Oh yeah, wait. When I figured out that the cinematographer of Strange Darling and Parker Selfridge in Avatar were the same person, my mind was blown. You've guessed it. Today on The Gala Show, I have Giovanni Ribisi on the mic. Hey, Giovanni.
Hi, how are you? It's a pleasure, a privilege. It's an honor to be here.
It's an honor for me to have you. When I
thanks.
heard that you were a fan of Video Archives and that
Oh
you
my
were like
God.
wanted to talk to me, I was so excited.
I don't want to sound creepy, but it was honestly something that was like medicinal for me. Especially post-COVID and all that stuff, and sort of, reingratiating ourselves back into society. It was something that was just, it was a beacon of honestly, of like, of light and hope for filmmakers, because it was just like, oh yeah, there's other people that care about this stuff, and it's not like everybody's staring at their phones the whole, anyways.
Yeah, no, and also like I saw Strange Darling. I had to tell you, I went on a date to go see our
Oh,
first
really?
date. Yeah.
Oh my God.
And we were gonna go see something else. And then when I saw it, I was like, oh my God, it's Giovanni Ribisi. He did the DP. It's shot on Kodak. I was like, you have to take me to go see Strange Darling.
Oh,
and so the guy
cool.
took me.
Oh really? Oh cool.
He was not into
He
it.
He didn't like it.
But I loved it.
Oh really? Oh
I
cool.
was
Yeah,
so-
yeah.
I was like, oh
It's
my God.
definitely a divisive
Oh,
movie. Yeah,
But
yeah.
it was great because I figured out right away that guy was not right for me.
Yeah,
I was
all right.
like, you don't get it. Okay, bye.
All right.
I loved it. It
It's
was
funny.
to see a movie shot on Kodak just like got me
Yeah.
going. I was so excited, and just I could go on and on and on just about the color theory of the movie and how like everything about it. It just was
Oh,
fantastic.
Cool. Oh, thank you.
I had so much
Yeah.
fun seeing it.
Yeah.
But before I bring up the topic for today with you, I have a question.
Uh-huh.
As a father, how do you decide what movies to show your children?
What a great question. It's a play-by-play basis. I grew up in the 70s. There's an interesting story actually as it relates to when I was a child. That my parents grew up watching movies in the 50s where the rating system wasn't even, I think there was a version of it, obviously.
Like barely though.
Barely, right? And so movies were always sort of a safe haven, especially for the family, to go see something like Gene Kelly or something. And so we had a traditional thing. My grandfather was, if he hadn't been a surgeon, born from Sicilian farmers, he would have been a filmmaker. He was he would have been an actor, I think. So traditional thing, Christmas night, we were up in San Jose where my family was from, and my parents, I think I was 6 years old in 1980, which is when the Blues Brothers came out.
Wow.
And we went to go see the Blues Brothers. And I actually think that this had something to do with something that Quentin referenced in his book about the guy who started, or who was running, not started, but I think he was running the Pussycat Theaters.
Yeah.
Because at a certain point, the local administration commissions or whoever started complaining, and theaters that were close to residential neighborhoods had to be divided 50-50, half adult pornographic films and half normal studio movies. And so Christmas night, we pull up. I'll never forget. We pull up to, like, it's a mini mall, and there's this. It's like, this is a movie theater. What is this? And we walk in, and we're going to see the Blues Brothers. And 6 years old, I would always sort of stray away. 1970, 80, go and find my own seat and just like watch a movie, you know. And I remember walking by all these guys in trench coats and sitting down.
And not knowing what's going on.
No, and then the lights went down. It was a full-blown porno.
Yeah. Wow.
And I hear, Bonnie, my dad, like, calling me, like, and then going to the lobby. And so it was, sorry, I digress. But it was just an interesting story. So, but it also sort of illustrates the idea of where I come from. Like, we saw Jaws in the theater.
Yeah.
Or actually, when it came to ZTV, when we were in the 80s, whatever, my parents didn't really censor things that much, and I think that's actually a good thing. So carrying that over, into the helicopter parenting age with the kids and the whole thing, it is sort of antithetical to the zeitgeist. But we like my daughter. My wife tells the story of, like, my daughter saying, like, I want to watch Interstellar, and movies like that. They love the Terminator. We haven't gone as far as, like, Alien or anything,
Yeah, I think about, like, what my dad showed me when I was a kid, and I turned out just fine.
Yeah.
Like, I grew up watching, like, Fantastic Planet was, like, the first movie I remember seeing.
There you go. Wow.
And he's like, I showed that to you because it shows respect for smaller creatures.
Yeah, wow.
And, like, when you look at it now, it's like the psychedelic thing. Like, well, why would you ever show that to a child? Well, it did impart those messages to me.
Sure.
To, like, take care of smaller creatures. And, like, Baron Munchausen and all of Terry Gilliam's work.
Yeah,
and Yellow
the
Submarine.
Gilliam is amazing. Yellow Submarine. Yeah, and also, like, the Beatles films. Yeah, of course. We were really big Charlie Chaplin when they were younger.
Those movies play so good with kids.
Yeah,
It's
The Wizard of
shocking.
Oz.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I think is important is also, in this day and age where we can kind of sometimes tend to be overwhelmed and inundated in what happens with, I think, someone's consciousness, which is actually a big concern of mine, which is like you tend to sort of just get inundated with inflow, and you can kind of become glib and not really understand what's in front of you. And I think that, so for me, it's important to actually carry on a discussion while the movie's playing about what the character wants, who they're fighting, what are the obstacles because I think that, honestly, movies are massively important for me. And on a sociological level, it's a form of communion for people, and I think it comes down to storytelling and the ability to tell stories. I'm actually grown to become opposed to the modern system of schooling, elementary school, and all that, and because and it goes to a broader discussion about institutionalization, and it's my kids are in school, and they're in a great school, and we didn't luck out. My wife is incredible, and she's an incredible mother, and she found this.
She decided. She, like, looked through and she
Yeah,
chose.
but right up until going into, we were late going into the school year, we were going to do homeschooling. But for me, over arithmetic or whatever else being taught in school, for me, the ability to recount a story and keep it interesting.
So about, like, when my dad would show me movies when I was a kid, like, he would actually get up before the movie, and he still sometimes does this, and he would give, like, a little dissertation on, like, what the movie's about, or, like, hey, like, look at this, or, like, this isn't real, but, like, this is how the actor did, or this is what the director wanted, or, like, and he would kind of prep me so that when I'm watching it, I'm able to develop critical thinking skills.
That's it.
And to put it together.
That is the most important thing.
It's so important.
And you get with phones and media and
and everything
devices,
in children's media being 3-second cuts or less, which is crazy. It hurts your brain actually developing, and, like, kids need longer cuts.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. That's right. That is a thing, isn't
It's a
it? Where
psychological thing where they
yeah,
actually, and it's like training kids to
yeah.
like not be paying attention to things because it's 3 seconds or less nowadays. And it used to be that you'd have like these long shots and kids would like soft colors and all this stuff. And they've just changed how children's media is now.
There was a guy I was working with, a director who said, and this was 15 years ago, where he said the uh, um, A Clockwork Orange had 560 cuts to
Mm-hmm.
it, and the modern movie has 5,600 cuts.
Have you ever seen that video on YouTube of Liam Neeson jumping over a fence?
No.
It's in the Taken movie, and it's like a 7-second clip of Liam Neeson jumping over the fence, and they cut like 15 or 20 times in the same
Oh, right.
of him jumping over, and
Yeah.
it's like cut, and
That's part of that is the Eisenstein thing,
it's
right?
the
Where
yeah,
you
it's the
like
Eisenstein, but it's
yeah.
so funny.
Yeah, right.
It's like him jumping over a fence. It's like you should look it up later.
We had a fence jumping in Strange Jolly, but it definitely wasn't 7 cuts. We had one chance to get it, and that was it, Or no, we had 2 chances. But anyways, yeah. So for that, like, and I think that obviously staying away from devices. I think this is a very important thing, but just being able to engage and not just sort of zone out, but really participate in a film and an experience is really important. So that's maybe more of the focus than it is. Obviously I wouldn't want to. I also think that with kids, what they're capable of taking responsibility for is probably what they should be exposed to.
That's
in a way.
yes.
And so I think that, for me, if it's hardcore, or it's even if it's like Alien or something, like I would never. No, I just think that, and so yeah. But I think it's a great thing for me because I have popcorn and then there's a movie on and I am in. That's my happy. Like because I just respect. I know what it is to make a movie and how hard it is and the impossibility of it. And
it's like capturing lightning in a bottle.
Exactly. And so even the ones that are maybe I wouldn't want to watch again or I don't like that much, I still am in just a great place to learn something and
they still made it.
Yeah, exactly.
And most people that criticize movies that maybe aren't as good will never make a movie, and it's so important to remember how difficult it is. And so when someone actually makes it, it's just a feat in itself.
That's right. And you go and most of the time when somebody said, it's that Truffaut thing, the day for night, a director starts out making a movie and they think it's going to be the greatest thing in the history of cinema. And then 2 weeks into it, they think they're trying to figure out how they can get out of it. You know what I mean? And it's that thing, where it's like most filmmakers truly have an intention that got them to a point where a financier was like, "Yeah, we're going to do this. This is great." There's something positive about it, and looking for that through the weeds, through all the challenges, through all the different. Intentions and counter intentions and all that stuff, I think is really, I don't know. It's amazing. Anyway, that's all. Yeah.
Now, as always, my guest gets to bring their topic to the mic. So, Giovanni, what is your topic and why did you decide to choose it?
Well, it's an interesting segue because we were almost touching on it, which is film economics. And because and it's such a massive topic and you need more than 30 minutes.
You need more than 30 minutes.
Yeah,
you could talk about a lifetime.
But it really is in the context of equating what it is to make a movie, because obviously, like regardless of how much a movie costs, it's still impossible to make a movie. And then you add on $150 million budgets to go off and make a thriller, or to make, I was watching a movie, which I don't want to name because I love everybody who was involved in the movie, but it just didn't really hit the mark. And you hear stories. I know people that were working on the film. I think that, other than one specific scene, there's probably 10 people in the cast.
Wow.
And it was a $200 million movie.
Yeah.
And in contrast to a friend of mine who, this place here helped out and did with gear and all that
Mm-hmm.
stuff. But a friend of mine just went off and made a movie on celluloid for $120,000.
Wow, and people think that shooting on celluloid is dead. That's the
Oh
crazy thing, and
no.
it's not.
No, it's not at all. No, it's more alive than it has even before it's the digital, like, because I think that people are starting to go, oh well, it's not this buying it by the yard mentality where that you see on the streaming services so
Mm-hmm.
often, where everything looks the same and feels the
Mm-hmm.
same, and you get compartmentalized, and there's the criteria for a thriller or a comedy or whatever it is, that can also almost be translated over to a prosumer YouTube video, like the
Mm-hmm.
same cameras that they're using on that become, what you're using to make your feature film. Film is celluloid. There's a process to
Yeah.
it. It's not just the superior image. It's also, as an actor for 40 years, it's like it's I don't want to over put too much importance on, my moment or whatever, but when the camera's rolling, people pay attention, and
When
because
you're
spending.
burning money.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. That's it. That's exactly it. And so there's just a different thing, and there's a more reverence, and there's a more of a process. There's more the process of not knowing exactly what you have in the on celluloid, and then looking at it a day or 2 days later is just amazing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so going back to the economics, and why do we have all these barriers to entry? It's like I was talking about it, and it's like I have a 27-year-old daughter, and
Mm-hmm.
there's I know she just has she feels like she will never be able to buy a house or own a property or build her, because it just became overpriced, and she got priced, and
Mm-hmm.
so many of my younger friends are going through this, and it becomes this sort of thing where is that atypical American dream, right? Not atypical, the typical, I should say, or the notion of what that is. It goes back to this thing that I've been talking about a lot, where if you look at all the regulations on filmmaking, and this is where I say that my view becomes somewhat unpopular, and all of the criteria and the red tape and becoming signatory and all of this stuff, you wonder if someone like Buster Keaton or Charlie Chaplin would have even dealt. I mean, I think yes, of course they would have been who they were, and who they and their legacy, but it becomes this insane thing, and then you start to lose. It's not just because my friend just did it. He just went out and they had a 4 weeks shoot. They had an incredible crew who were not just getting paid, but they were also owning a part of the film. That's the way they, which was great, right? So it becomes almost like a co-op, and everybody wanted to be there, and they shot on celluloid, And here's the other thing: he did a teaser. It looks amazing.
Oh my God, I cannot wait.
It looks amazing. Anyways, so this is an interesting thing, and like you're a filmmaker.
Mm-hmm.
You obviously, which by the way, I'm over them. I can't wait to see what you do for a feature film. For you haven't made a feature film.
No,
yet, right?
I
Okay.
produced 2 movies, but I haven't. Yeah.
But okay, so and to hear what your take is on this, because it's still an education for me, and I'm of the mentality right now, where like after Strange Darling, things are good, and there's it's healthy, and people are interested in working with me on cinematography, and I think that's amazing. But then I saw my friend who was making this movie, and I was just, oh, he's happy because he's going on and he's not dealing, like he has final cut. He's not free, and he's not betting the farm on something, or being wasteful even on something, and he's going, and guess what, he can fail. Great. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if he does, he can go off and make the next one, and then maybe learn a little bit, you know what I mean? And so but before we get into the topic, it's time for a commercial break.
Backed by popular demand, the Video Archives merch store is up and running. Get your favorite t-shirts, hats, notebooks, stickers, and more at videoarchivesmerch.com. You know me. I write all my notes in the Notes on Cinema notebook, the Gala edition, of course. Check out videoarchivesmerch.com to get yours today. Hey, thanks so much for being a loyal listener. If you want to keep up with me off mic, make sure to follow me on Instagram at Gala Avery.
And we're back.
You heard it here. We're going to be talking about film economics. I have 30 minutes on the clock. For me, it's so interesting because I'm at this kind of generational crossroads where I feel like I identify more with like a little bit of like the people that were before me.
Yeah.
And
I'm
then
sure, yeah.
all the people that are under me, I desperately want to make sure that like we're able to shepherd forward like this art form that I love. And also like I'm at this weird crossroads also in my generation where I always divide it by 9/11. Like, do you remember 9/11 or do you not?
Right.
And my brother and I are only 2.5 years apart. And I remember where I was on 9/11.
Oh, sure.
He doesn't really because he was just that
Really?
much younger. And it changes a lot generationally
Wow.
of like how you remember the world kind of being before or after. And I get so many people that are younger than me that I'm like, let's just go see a movie. Let's go watch a movie and not take out our phones.
Mm-hmm.
And like, let's just go to the New Bev where
Yeah.
phones are not allowed
Yeah.
and sit in a room. And I had a friend come
Heaven.
out from Denver and we went to go see an old Western double feature. And he was like, I've never seen a movie shot on film before. I've never seen a movie like on film projected. He did fall asleep on the second movie, but
Really?
God bless him. He was trying his best. But
Yeah.
it's something so wonderful. And like it ignites within you this like passion and creativity for, I want to do this too.
Yeah.
I want to be a part of something bigger than myself.
Oh, absolutely.
I want to be marching along in the trenches like
Yeah.
2 weeks in when the director's trying to like get out because he's like, this
Yeah.
was going to be. But I do feel like a lot of people my age feel like it is unobtainable.
Mm-hmm. It can be, and I think I'm hoping that there's more Sean Bakers. I'm hoping that there's more Mackay Carls, my friend.
Yeah.
People who, at the end of the day, it's not about the tools. So if you have a fucking iPhone, then go make your you know what I mean? And that's one thing that everybody thought, my generation thought, that everybody, it will democratize filmmaking with this digital revolution. And it didn't.
That's the weirdest thing about it. You think that everyone has a camera in their pocket. Why
Yeah,
doesn't everyone
why
just
not?
make a movie?
Yeah, because there are people who that have that impulse to do that and to do something that's also excellent and effective, and they're educated on the novel, and they're in storytelling, and they understand the 3-act structure or whatever it is. And they're driven. They're fans of movies, right?
Yeah, they love things. One thing that got me when you were talking about kind of the economics of film, though, which I wanted to ask you, because my dad and I talk about this a lot. Why does it seem that there are like these $200 million movies, and then there are movies that are like 4 and below, and then there's kind of nothing in between?
Because
like, what is going on there?
But here's the other thing. I think that it speaks to the algorithm as
Yeah.
well. And the math and the algorithm and the AI that is evolving at such a rapid pace that dictates what that zeitgeist voice is,
Yeah.
and the economic and the lower echelon, and you start dividing, and you start to go, well, this wasn't necessarily the intention. It was just to really understand the metrics on what we can to be viable as a company. But what you're doing is you're having a societal impact, and
For sure.
that snowballs on itself, and that so suddenly you start to have movies that are kind of like all about the same thing.
It's wild to me also. I remember I was working on adapting a YA novel with my dad, and this was maybe like this was a while ago, like maybe 7 or 8 years ago. We were adapting this YA novel, and we were picking like young actors to be in it.
Mhm.
And my dad, I mean, doing roles and stuff, he had unknowns and he had knowns, and he was flipping people of
Yeah.
like what they were known for and stuff. And I remember the producer at the company was like, okay, well, let's look at the star meter. let's look at their Instagram followers. And I was like, really? Like, that's not going to drive people to go see a movie. It's going to be
No.
good actors, good talent, etc. And like, just because you're an influencer does not necessarily mean that you pull people. And I know this because I did my yoga teacher training for fun over the summer.
All right.
And my yoga teacher was telling me, yeah, sometimes in a class you'll have, because some people want to become yoga teachers and some don't. I just wanted to do it for personal fulfillment. But
Sure.
she said sometimes you'll have influencers come through and they think that they're going to have a big following for their yoga classes because they're an influencer, and they'll do their first event and it will work out great. A lot of people will come, but the second one, no one comes to, because Instagram and social media is all about the first thing.
Yeah.
It's all about the first experience. And if you're repeating an experience, no one wants it. They've already shown it to their followers.
That's it. It's that's that first instant rush kind of thing. It's so true. And so, yeah, I mean, I think that there's so many different factors that are sort of landing us where in this place, whether for better or for worse, creatively and economically with filmmaking. I mean, obviously you have Silicon Valley
Yeah.
really being the main driver and financing, and
Isn't that crazy that Apple is
I
like
just can't even, I mean, it's just insane.
Apple, Amazon,
Yeah.
Netflix, all these people are the ones that are, and this algorithm, it can't even remember like when I'm on social media and it's pushing things to me,
Yeah.
like, or YouTube even.
Yeah.
My brother and I talk about, you'd think it would know that we're vegetarian by now and
Yeah.
it would stop showing me meat videos.
Right.
But it doesn't.
No, it
so
doesn't.
why would I want that?
I know.
Why would I want the algorithm that's pushing me nose job videos repeatedly every single day to
Oh
get a
my
nose job?
God. Oh
Why would
my
I want
God.
that
Yeah,
to be
yeah.
showing me what movies to watch?
No, I know. That's right. And that's the thing. It becomes a thing where it's like you don't know the complexity of it and what it's listening to. I mean,
And
this is the
who's
other thing. And
choosing?
yeah,
Who's
I
programming this?
right. Well, I get exactly like what are their politics and where are they coming from?
Why does the algorithm want me to see this?
What is the
What is
right.
the agenda of the algorithm? And
That's right.
and I totally believe like AI.
Yeah.
Hasn't anyone seen any movie ever?
Yeah. Oh no.
Like-
I mean, that was the thing when I first saw Sora. My friend showed. He said, "Oh yeah, haven't you seen that? There's a type of command prompt. You know what Sora is, right?"
It's one of those AI command prompts, right?
Yeah. So it's the
Yeah.
video thing where you
Oh Lord,
people-
I've stayed so far away from this. I just I don't mess with it.
This was the thing where apparently Tyler Perry, this was in the news, he had seen an example of Sora, and he was building an $800 million studio in Atlanta, or augmenting whatever he had, and he pulled the plug on it.
Wow.
Because it was like, oh, it's over. And
That's crazy.
And what's good is that was, I think, 6 months ago, and it's not over. Right? There still is humanity, and we still have voices, and we still want to tell our own personal stories from
Yeah.
our own perspective without undue influence from not AI as its own entity that becomes this sort of like synthetic whatever, from corporations who are trying to sell you things, right?
That's the thing. It's like
they're trying to find your angle. So that becomes like, oh, well, they're the main driver behind making all this content. And so at the end of the day, it becomes, their bottom line and what their shareholders are looking at, and so because it's this thing. For me, I go, at a certain point, you need to hold up your middle finger and go, fuck you, I'm gonna go make my movie
Yeah.
against all your rules. You can arrest me. Do you know what I mean? Like so it's just because we're just making movies. So I'm dancing around trying to, but at the end of the day, like when this other friend of mine was making a short film. It was he had to spend $100,000. He's trying to play by all the rules. It was a 12-minute short film, $100,000.
You know what's crazy is I have friends that go to LMU, and some of those students have $100,000 short films for their college theses. It's crazy.
Crazy.
It's crazy. I look at like what Quentin and my dad actually.
Oh
I just
my
went to go see my
God.
grandpa
Yeah.
over the weekend in Denver, and I found the Betamax tape of all my dad's short films, and I brought it home.
Treasure
And like
trove.
I found
Holy-
like the VHS tapes of like a bunch of their short films and stuff
Oh
that were
my
just in my
God.
grandpa's shipping container. And I was thinking, this is what a group of kids
Yeah.
who actually were shooting on film
Yeah.
did with no money.
That's right.
And nowadays it's like, why are short films costing that much? Like,
I mean, famously,
why?
wasn't he? Reservoir Dogs was going to be.
Yeah, Reservoir Dogs was going to be a super, super low budget film originally. And
Yeah.
my dad was actually going to play Mr. Orange.
Oh,
So
really?
it's funny. I told someone recently the
Oh,
story
amazing.
that like
Oh,
when I
man,
first
that would've
watched
been cool.
when I first watched Reservoir Dogs
Yeah.
and the Tim Roth character, I was like, oh, he's a good guy.
Yeah.
Because I could, without knowing that my dad was going to play him, I could identify.
Oh, right,
like,
of course. Yeah,
he's
that's right.
acting
Yeah,
like
that's
my
your dad. Right?
I
You
was like, that's
projected
my
your dad on the.
I was
Yeah.
like, oh. And then when it happened, I was like, oh,
Oh,
okay.
that's so cool. That's so cool. No, but that was like an example of that, like, you know, by hook or by crook, or if you don't have a dolly, you're gonna go get a wheelchair, like go
You're gonna
dart
go get a
and whoever,
skateboard. You're gonna like
and do whatever it is. And but again, the point is like there's all these preconceived ideas. Like I was gonna do a short film recently with some friends, and became this 2-night shoot for $50,000 with
gosh.
a limit. And I go, no, there's got to be. Anyways, the point is, and I think honestly, there is for me a didactic message, which is terrible, but for the younger generation of like, if you like, just go make your film like at a certain
You
point.
don't have to play within the studio
Yeah.
system is the thing.
This is the other thing where I love Megalopolis because, and not necessarily based on, as far as like a movie that, but the idea that here you have someone of that caliber at that age going, okay, so you're watching all of these shows and these things and streaming and da 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 da, but that, don't forget, movies can also be this.
Yeah.
Like it or hate it. It can be, you can also have something that touches on X, Y, and Z, whatever it is. And it's a bit like, can you imagine in this day of ultra conservatism, which is that, by nature, by definition, it's the inability or the lack of change, right? Where the people are buying it by the yard now, and it becomes this thing where it's like you just turn it on and you're just like,
People just like literally want to just like disconnect.
Yeah.
They don't want to participate anymore. And it's Soma.
Yeah.
It's really sad. It's
That's
like,
right. That's what
it's
it is.
exactly what it is. And it's just like, it's food for the masses so that they don't have to confront actually like what's going on.
Right. Exactly.
And it's wild to me. But at the same time of people experiencing that, there are people people that are like young and coming up are so desperately wanting to connect with something real.
Yeah.
Everyone that I know, like one thing, I'm always surprised when I'm out and there's a video store, Be Kind Video in Burbank.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And I'll go there and there's like a ton of young people.
Yeah, I know.
And they're like, oh, I'm growing my VHS collection.
Oh, that's
or
so
like,
cool.
I collect cassettes or I have a Laserdisc collection. Like, I'm growing it. And it's like, because I want something real. I want something that I own. I want something tangible.
Yes.
And like these objects show who I am. And
that's right. It's tribal. It's just that thing.
And
like,
they're
this
going
is
to the
my
bed.
identity.
It's young people that are going to go see stuff on film. And it's so exciting to me.
Yeah, it is a big thing. I mean, this is definitely, and in large part to you guys and your podcast and Quentin and Roger and everybody, what they're doing, like that legacy is resonating with the next generation of serious filmmakers. And even people are starting to see that film is not more expensive. It's actually feasible. And anyways, so
I think it's so important that you're saying this, because I think there are a lot of people who think it's over and who just think it's like done and like have given up. I think so.
That's
and I
just
think that's
propaganda. It's weird.
I think it is. I think it is propaganda. It's not over.
But there's also a thing with digital that is more convenient. And I get it. Again, when you have 300 people on a movie and again, you've gotten there and it's your first day on set, and the last thing you want to do is have camera problems or issues or mysteries that the possibility of something not coming out. And digital, you've got what you're looking at is usually really close to what you're going to get.
It's funny though, because like my dad also though has talked to me about like how shooting on film versus shooting on digital has changed the entire way that people shoot.
Oh, it's
like,
unbelievable.
As a DP, when you shoot on film, you always would have the sunburn on your back.
That's right.
Because you have the sun behind you.
Yeah.
But with digital, you want to shoot into the sun to create false depth and lens flare.
Sure. Yeah.
And it's just, and it changes everything.
I
Like,
know.
it's literally
I know.
changing how people are shooting.
But that also goes back to an algorithm, right? Where you have, for Strange Darling, for instance, like one of the things that we wanted to do, and I really believe this goes back to film economics.
Mhm.
One of the things that we wanted to do, because it was such a low budget, but for me personally, I'll say this as a side note, it wasn't low enough. I want people
Interesting.
ask, like they want, like, do you wish you had more money or more than what we have? And no, I wish we had less, because we at one point we had a budget that was 40 days and it was somewhere around $2.7 million
Yeah.
to go make that movie. And that would have, you know what I mean? Anyways, is that, so many
What
people,
did the budget end up being?
well, because it
Around.
was done with COVID, and I think that there was like it was like $700,000 in COVID, and like
That's
like
crazy.
crazy. So it was around, but I'll argue with people about what the budget was, because there's all these stories, right? You don't know.
I produced a movie that they said that there was 5 or 6, and
Yeah.
really then I got a budget that said there was 4,
Yeah,
and then I
that's it.
looked and it's like we actually only have 2.
Yeah,
And
it's
so there's
right
all
around
this
there.
inflation. So people will say like, "Oh yeah, like that was a $6 million movie." Actually, that was a $2 million
Yeah,
movie.
I know. Well, a friend of mine was saying it's a $5 million movie with $4 million worth of bullshit.
Yep,
and 1 million of it,
basically.
right? Yeah. But yeah, so as far as like style, and because again, you're spending so much money, and you're afraid to make mistakes, and you're kind of going, well, this worked before, and this is like, so even photographically, people shoot shallow,
Yeah.
and they shoot with a specific LUT, and the contrast and colors, like the orange teal look that they, people, it just becomes like this thing that's just like, suddenly it's kind of like, when you look at a movie poster, or again, even like they were doing algorithm back in the day with like when Eddie Murphy was on movie posters. It was apparently, I had heard this, where Eddie Murphy on a white backdrop with red letters was more commercial and made more money.
Wow,
than
Eddie Murphy on a
Which
different
isn't that crazy? I mean, maybe you already know all this stuff, but it's crazy. And so for me, I go like, there's got to be a forum, because there are a lot of great young filmmakers who can go out and make really great, moving, impactful films for $50,000, $100,000, even $300,000, right? And again, they can do it again and again and again, right? And there's just, the biggest thing is just like, I think you got to change what your version of success is as a filmmaker.
Yeah, and also, I mean, there's also so much pressure, I feel like, put on young people nowadays, because like you even see it like in weird places, like for example, like MasterChef Kids, that they have kids competing on like these shows, and like,
oh my God.
and also there's like this pressure put on people that like you have to know exactly what you want to do when you're 18 and going to college.
Oh, geez.
And if you're not successful by this age, then it's over, like you've lost.
It's
and
terrible,
there's so much pressure, and I always tell people like, you can change your mind at any time in your life.
That's
if you
right.
decide like I want to do something different.
Yeah.
It took me 7 years in college. I took so freaking long.
Yeah. Oh, really?
And
You went to college?
I paid my way through college for
Wow.
psychology, just for fun. I wanted to do
Wow,
it.
that's great.
But I paid my way through
Yeah.
while I worked in like film and TV writing and stuff. And I just,
Wow.
and it's like, but you can do anything you want in life. If you suddenly decide like, you know what, I want to pick up photography
Yeah.
at like 35 years old, and I want to
Sure.
go be a photographer, or you know what, I want to go back to school for this, or I want to pick up an instrument. You can do anything you want. And
I
there's
mean,
this box that people get put in where it's like, you have to just do what you're doing, and then that's what you do for the rest of your life.
You're talking to somebody who's just like smack dab right in the middle of a midlife crisis. So this is all
No,
music to my
but
ears. Like,
honestly,
I can do anything.
No, you can do anything. And also, I love Giovanni Ribisi, the cinematographer.
Oh, thank you. That's really nice.
Again, when I saw Strange Darling, the color theory of it.
Oh, yeah,
Like,
sure, yeah.
I know that you're like, I don't know if it was you that's doing it or the set design or what you guys are doing, but I know that when you guys are picking the color of all the red, like in the
Yeah.
outfits, like everything is red,
Yeah.
and the greens and stuff. I know that you're looking at it and you're thinking, this is what Kodak is going to pick up. The stock is going to pick up really
That's
well.
exactly right. Well, yeah, because I did start on digital, so that I do understand what the parameters, and there's a sort of threshold there, what film is capable of, and if anything, it really is about skin tones and color. I mean, color with film there's just nothing like it, right? But it takes a tribe, and it's the production designer and the director, and so the director and I, you know, I mean, don't get me wrong. You're going to be working a lot harder with a budget that's a lower budget
You're
film.
going to be working a lot harder, but you also tend to have people that really want to be there.
Really want to be there,
And they really want to help. And they'll do
let-
anything to do it because it's like a dream. Like you're chasing a dream to
That's it.
capture magic.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
And when the camera starts rolling, as you said, it is like the moment.
Yeah, it
when
is.
everyone on set is like so finely tuned in.
Oh yeah.
And we are capturing magic.
Yeah. Well, that was the thing. And part of it was really having an idea of what we were going to do before we, like we made the movie several times over. We were there for 5 months prepping, and we had like we had an 83-page typed out shot list.
There was a lot of prep that went into it.
Oh yeah. And it was, and we were watching movies, we were doing tests, shooting tests for specific colors that I still don't feel like we got right, but what I will, and
you could always
a
painter keeps painting
yeah,
even when
sure,
it's on the
exactly.
wall.
right. But and a lot of it was just coordination with the production designer, who was incredible. We had so many curveballs on this that we losing locations that we had prepped for 6 weeks, and then having 18 hours in order to like prep the hotel room sequence. We had like that.
Really?
Yeah. And so that was suddenly like we were shooting on a stage up in Portland, and then we're shooting in a practical hotel room with 8-foot ceilings, and lighting something like that with
it changes everything.
Hot tungsten lights. But you're rolling with the punch, and you have a good foundation and a good understanding for what you're doing. People have come here as well, and I think this is also part of that goes back to the yoga instructor Instagram thing, where people just it's sort of a glib experience or interpretation or whatever of the endeavors that they're doing.
As I've said, so many people have told me film is just dead.
Yeah,
it's just
no,
done.
it's not, and it's
not.
In so many ways it's a lot less expensive. Because, there's one thing that definitely with film, and most people who know the difference and who have shot with both mediums will say this, is that every time you shoot something on film, when you go back and you look at the dailies or whatever, it's always better than what you thought it was. And it's the inversion with digital.
It's also so exciting
getting
to like watch and all get together.
Also, like, I just remember the days of like people doing a movie, and then you go at the end of the day, you go to see dailies for the prior day's work, and you're all sitting around, and it's like a communal,
getting a pizza, and like everyone in the crew is like, yeah, we did it.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
What advice would you though have for like someone that was young and was like, I want to start shooting on film? Like, where would they start?
Oh, so it's really not. So first of all, you want to look at the specific format for film that you want to shoot on, because obviously and that education is just priceless, and it's so fun to learn about, whether it's 35, super 35, anamorphic 4-perf, or getting into VistaVision, which is 8 perforations and really exciting, or even 16 millimeter, which is
or even
gorgeous.
8.
8, exactly. And 8 millimeter can be incredible and beautiful and very cinematic, by the way. There's you start to learn you can shoot a movie on 35 2-perf, which is the Technoscope, the way the Italians, like for instance, like a Fistful of Dollars and all that stuff was shot, where it's a 2:3:5 aspect ratio, but the film is half the cost of shooting 4-perf anamorphic, because it's 2 perforations, right?
Yeah. So what is it for those that don't know? What is a perforation?
Perforation is just the square hole that's in the side of the film, the classic
the
thing.
Teeth.
Yeah,
get into.
and when you say 2-perf, 3-perf, or 4-perf, or VistaVision 8-perf, you're talking about how many perforations the frame is taking up, that's being exposed. So it'll line up to 4 perforations, 3 perforations, or 2. And so obviously 2-perf, if you have 1,000 feet for 2-perf, you have a 22-minute mag. And so that's why a lot of people on the Italians back in the day were developed that and would shoot that, as opposed to an 11-minute mag for 4-perf.
Wow.
Yeah.
So if they want to start though, it's like you just have to figure out like what you want to start shooting on. And
Yeah, and then go down to the Kodak film store or go online. There's Kodak. It makes it very easy to so you obviously want to price it out. You want to look at what your shooting ratios, what those are called,
Mhm.
and so that you can go in and plan and really get a good idea and understand.
Yeah.
These are like the things that kind of get a little technical, but understand that 1,000 feet for 4 perf is 11 minutes, and so what is the shooting ratio? So
You just do the math.
exactly. So we were shooting approximately. There were a couple of days that were a little heavier, but on Strange Darling we were shooting about 4,000 feet a day, which ends up being 44 minutes.
Yeah.
But we weren't even really hitting that. So you're shooting about 44 minutes on a 26-day shoot. What does that the math add up to then? Elaine May famously for Mikey
Just
and Nikki.
rolling and rolling and rolling
Yeah.
so much that she ran out of film, and they just kept shooting in air quotes. It's just like,
But I
okay.
think so for me, like, because you go, well, I mean, talk about film economics
Yeah.
affecting the quality of so she had the power to be able to go. I think the shooting rate, I think they did like 4 million feet of film on that
It was
movie or
insane
something.
how much film
Or a
they did.
million, even a
And then
million
they
is
hit
like
it
a
all.
lot.
They
Yeah.
hit it all to edit it properly.
Yeah. But you look at what Cassavetes is doing and Peter Falk, and it's untouched. That
Yeah.
movie, the performances, because they had that freedom to go, no, we are going to get this. We're going to go to a place here that's uncharted, really, and with the experience of what an actor is, and we're going to capture that in your eyes, and give everybody a chance to do that.
I think one thing I think about, like when I think about film economics, is because we have the internet now, it feels like there should be more places for people to see movies.
Yeah,
But I feel like in a weird way, it's almost gate kept a little bit.
it is. It's
And that's
because
the
of that
weirdest
algorithm.
thing.
Because it all comes down to, and that's one of the things. You get into, and it becomes a fascinating thing because, again, as if you're an artist and a filmmaker, this is something, especially now more than ever, that you have to understand. This guy who went and made this $120,000 film. First of all, it was a great experience all around. It wasn't one of these slog fests of a film where you're just like, oh my God, we're doing 16-hour days and all. But because it's the way he organized the movie, and he had an amazing understanding of all of that, and he had a budget that because a producer friend of mine saw the teaser and was so blown away, and then found.
So he shot the teaser first, and then he.
No. They went and made the movie.
Wow, and then he had the teaser. Yeah.
Yeah, and he scanned it all here, and he, and so that's also a big thing. That was one thing that I found out that. Oh, by the way, you can also negotiate, and this is like another thing. Like if you go into and they'll kill me for saying this, but I'll tell you, you go into the film site and you say, look, this is the amount of money that I have to make this movie, and I am making it on film. So I'm either going to go on eBay and buy short ends, or I'm going to talk to you and buy more film. And then you can do that with the lab as well, and you can shop around. Because, for instance, one of the things that we were doing was Kodak has a lab in Atlanta, and they will beat anybody's price and handle the shipping for you.
Wow.
Yeah, which
that's
is kind
amazing.
of, I know I sound like a commercial right now.
No, I love Kodak.
Yeah.
I am like a Kodak.
Oh, I know.
Okay, my favorite though, and people kill me for saying this, I love Kodak Eastman.
Oh,
I love Pink Eastman.
Oh, I know, me too.
I say when I age, I want to age like Pink
Yeah.
Eastman. That's like literally what I want in my
Yeah,
life. Like,
right.
I want to fade like Eastman.
Yeah,
And
right.
I love it.
I know.
And I love the look of film. One thing that like Roger and Quentin have taught me is like with Technicolor, like how to be able to tell when the film was shot by how the Technicolor looks, like 70s brown Technicolor.
Yeah.
And like, oh, it must be on this stock, or oh, they shot it like this. And it's just,
my God.
it's amazing that you're able to date a film.
Oh,
Or to know by
yeah,
just what it looks like.
by the tincture or whatever. That Technicolor is the most incredible experience, like, and it really maintains itself. I mean, some of it gets down, but it's just I wish we could go back to that, and it's almost like, with photography, I'm sure you're familiar with
Yeah.
dye transfers.
Yeah.
And that just like when you actually stand in front of a dye transfer print, it's one of them. It's like a religious experience. It's like a painting. It's just like, you can't believe that a physical medium could have a color like that.
No, it's insane. Okay, I know my timer's about to go off, but I wanted
Oh.
to ask you one question before we stop.
Yeah.
What do you feel about people shooting on digital and then making a film print from the digital and then scanning the film print? I've heard people talk about this to like give it a better look.
That's a great question, because so for me, I definitely am a purist. Because I still go, well, why not just shoot film? Because it's still it ends up being the same price when you net it out. It really does. And this is something that, please just go do the research and find out how, but the advantage about shooting film is that, especially nowadays, it tends to be more commercial. People have a response to it, right? It really depends on the artist.
It just depends, yeah.
It depends on the artist.
It depends.
Yeah.
So that's all the time that we have for today. But Giovanni, is there any final thought you'd like to share with the audience?
No, I just think the world of you guys, and you guys are just all the shows that you guys are doing. I just think that it's just great for making movies, and I just hope you guys have continued success.
Oh, thanks, Giovanni.
Yeah.
I'm just so thankful that you came on the show. I was over the moon when I heard that you wanted to talk with me. So.
Oh, sure. Yeah, of course.
So
yeah.
thank you so much to my guest, Giovanni Ribisi, for coming onto the show. And also, if you haven't checked out Strange Darling yet, you should, especially if you love film and you love the art of photography or filmmaking, because the way that it's shot, again, I'm just going to be a broken record, but it was like so refreshing and so beautiful to go and like actually ignited hope in me. I'm not kidding. I felt hope. I was sitting there and you know what? I saw it down in Playa del Rey.
Oh, cool.
And the audience was all different kinds of people.
Oh, sure.
And when I went in, there was like this Hispanic guy and his girlfriend sitting next to me.
Yeah.
And he said he told the guy like, "Oh, homie, put up your seat divider so you and your hyena can cuddle during the movie." And the guy was like, "No, I'm not doing that." But at the end of the movie, he turned to us and he was like, "That was so kick-ass." Wow. And it was just like some gang dude from like the South Bay. It was awesome just seeing all these different kinds of people going to see a movie shot on Kodak.
I know.
It reignited my hope in the world.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it was funny because it really is kind of like off the beaten path a little, the script. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I immediately, when I first read it, I called the director within 15 seconds and was begging to be a part of the whole thing. And I think that the studio had a big problem with it, and we were kind of getting beaten down a little bit. And then when they had the first test screening, which was in the director's contract of the director's cut, and to the studio's credit, they woke up and went, "Oh no, this is something that we had no idea," and this is something
like a little gem that we overlooked.
Yeah, but it was cool because people were involved. They were experiencing. They were talking to the screen.
That's the thing.
And we were like, "What is going on?"
There were people in my theater hollering and clapping at certain moments. Yeah, you get him.
Yeah.
You get him. And it was an awesome experience because I went to like an AMC. Like it was not like it was like a theater of the people, and it was people getting so involved and just like regular people. And I was like, this is it ignited hope in me for the future of movies and filmmaking.
Oh, that means everything coming from you.
So
thank you.
Just thanks again. So
cool.
I'm Gala Avery, and this has been The Gala Show. Thanks, Giovanni.
Woo!
The Gala Show is brought to you by Avery.com. This episode was executive produced by Roger Avery and produced by Gala Avery. Music composed by Andy Milburn. Additional sound mixing by Eric Clapp. As always, I'm your host, Gala Avery. Copyright 2024, all rights reserved. Despite me sharing the same last name with this charity, I don't have any affiliation with it, besides the fact that the issue is very near and dear to my heart. Did you know that in the United States, 2.7 million children currently have a parent in prison, and it's estimated that 10 million children have experienced parental incarceration at some point in their lives? I was one of these kids, and as an adult, I am really grateful to be able to give back to Project Avery. Their mission is to build leadership from within by supporting community through programs such as mentoring and outdoor education. and also to remove the stigma surrounding having a parent that's incarcerated. You don't have to feel alone. If you know a kid who could use these resources or would like to donate money or time to the charity, please go to Project Avery, that's AVARY.org, to check out what this amazing charity is all about. Again, that's projectavery.org. Thank you guys from the bottom of my heart.
Hey moms, looking for some lighthearted guidance on this crazy journey we call parenting?
Join me, Sabrina Kohlberg,
And me, Andy Mitchell, for Pop Culture Moms,
where each week we talk about what we're watching
and examine our favorite pop culture moms up close to try to pick up some parenting hacks along the way.
Come laugh, learn, and grow with us as we look for the best tips.
And maybe a few what not to do's from our favorite fictional moms.
From Good Morning America and ABC Audio.
Pop Culture Moms. Find it wherever you get your podcasts.